Hello and welcome back to Skypothesis. We are super excited to dive into our final build for Season 2, the Daedric Warchief. We've taken inspiration from all corners of fantasy to create a fresh and unique roleplay experience. And while we do enjoy playing with mods, there's just something so satisfying about creating a fun build in Vanilla Skyrim that can be played on any version of the game. We realize that we haven't made any orcs yet, which is a huge shame because they are probably our favorite race. So without further ado, we proudly present the Daedric Warchief. Of all the races in Tamriel, orcs are perhaps the most gifted warriors due to their natural brute strength. They value conquest, tradition, and the right of rule by might. The Daedric Warchief is no exception. He is a fierce warrior said to be born with the strength of 5 men. In spite of the orcs' fierce battle prowess, they are a scattered people who have traditionally lacked unifying leadership. They operate in disconnected tribes, with each chief being killed off once a son is strong enough to challenge him and take his place. Once the Daedric Warchief came of age, it was no surprise he was the one to challenge his aging father in combat. The whole tribe knew he would lead one day. The battle was quick and humane. His father swung first, the son parried and rammed his blade through his father's heart, killing him instantly. He took up leadership with confidence and immediately gained the trust of his tribe. Their stronghold was located high in the foothills of the eastern mountains of High Rock, on the other side of the passes into the Reach. Their tribe was very traditional and lived isolated for centuries. They hunted, mined, and occasionally raided the regions surrounding their stronghold, but they were just far enough away from any civilized cities of High Rock that they were left alone. That is, until a local Breton lord declared their occupation of the eastern mountains illegal, and ordered their extermination. They had existed for centuries with a symbiotic relationship. The Bretons occasionally dealt with raided farms, but at least the region was kept clear of rival highwaymen and bandits. This was betrayal, and the young chief perceived the local lord only issued this extermination to prove his political strength. "I'll show you real strength," he thought, and sent an envoy to the lord with a challenge. "Send to me your best knights, and I will defeat them all myself." Immediately the Breton lord knew he made a mistake, but it was too late. He couldn't back down now for fear of being called a coward. He began sending mercenaries and bounty hunters, but would receive their severed heads back in return. Eventually, he had no choice but to face the orcs in open combat. The orcs were outnumbered 5 to 1, but they rallied and made quick work of the Bretons. The chief himself led the charge, tore through their ranks, and with a mighty swing cut the Breton lord in half, ripping right through his armor. Word spread far and wide of this battle, and no one dared challenge the orc that slew an army. The chief proudly took this victory as a sign of his right to rule, but the celebrations did not last. Not long after, a terrible plague swept through the stronghold. The tribe's shaman's alchemical remedies were ineffective. The chief frantically sent word for aid, asking for priests and healers from among the men and elves of the land, but no one would dare come. They were alone. One by one, they perished, leaving the chief the last surviving member. He bore the shame of having failed to protect his tribe and wandered until he found a good death. For the roleplay, the Daedric Warchief had ample time in his wandering to reflect on his tribe's demise. He came to the conclusion that the Daedra had withdrawn their support. His tribe grew lax in their observance of the Code of Malakath, and relied wholly on their own strength. He understands now why the orcs always fail. Orsinium was the only official kingdom of orcs, but it was sacked and rebuilt many times throughout history, doomed to fail again and again. There were many theories for this, but the Daedric Warchief came to the conclusion that their failure is due to a lack of real leadership. Proving strength in combat is important, but it isn't everything a leader must do. If he had been more wise, he would not have left his tribe isolated and without allies. He would have understood that there are some threats that are defeated with the mind, not with the sword. He ponders these lessons after being caught near the border of Skyrim and shipped to Helgen for an execution. He was defeated fair and square by an ambush of Imperial forces. After being unexpectedly robbed of his good death by a dragon, he flees Helgen with Hadvar, choosing to side with the Imperials after being impressed by their strength during the skirmish. He takes his liberation as a sign that his time to die has not come yet, and there is still more he must do. His journeys in Skyrim are motivated by his desire to prove himself a capable leader to Malakath and the other Daedra. In the process, he forms a new tribe of sorts. He gains the conjuration skill necessary to command a small army of Dremora, and learns restoration skills to heal himself and his companions in combat. The party consists of himself, his companion Borgak, 2 summoned Dremora Lords, and an additional Dremora Borgak will summon if she's carrying the Sanguine Rose. This brings the party total to 5 wicked Uruk-hai-looking warriors. When you are leading a party, it forces you to observe the battlefield from a different perspective. You'll want to position your army to keep them all effective, and know when to charge in head first, and when to take a back seat and provide ranged support. It's quite the sight watching one of your Dremora get a kill cam on a dragon. He will lead his team to glory by completing the main quest, both Dragonborn and Dawnguard DLCs, and joining the Imperial Legion. He can also join the Companions, but it would make the most sense for him to cure himself of being a werewolf. He is a lawful neutral character who believes strongly in the virtues of war and the right of rule by might. He is a very black and white character personality-wise. He has a sharp mind for strategy, but doesn't waste time pondering moral implications of his actions. Strength is paramount, and order gained by conquest is just. This character shines in open combat scenarios, and the Civil War is the perfect platform to showcase this build's strength. We recommend waiting until you and your whole party of 5 are kitted out before starting this questline. We chose to side with the Imperials, but you could justify siding with the Stormcloaks if you desire. The Orcish strongholds of Skyrim have been left alone by the Jarls, so there might be justification there to support Ulfric. In the end, it was a better fit for us to join the Legion after his defeat at Helgen. The Orcs have traditionally sided with the Empire, and he is not the sort of character to hold grudges after losing a battle. For side quests, collecting all the Daedric artifacts provides a fun roleplay objective for this character. You will also want to stop into all 4 Orcish strongholds and complete any side quests they offer. Alright, it's time to dig into the Daedric Warchief's weapons and armor. As his name implies, this orc wears a wicked Daedric chestplate. We are generally not the biggest fan of Daedric armor. We feel the spikes and color scheme are a bit too edgy for most characters. However, considering this Warchief's quest to forge relationships with the Daedra, we found it fitting. The Orcish boots, helmet, and gauntlets can be smithed fairly early, assuming you take the Orcish smithing perk quickly. If you want an Orcish set earlier, you can always steal the set minus the gauntlets in Largashbur, or loot a full set from the corpse of Chief Ymars at the end of the quest The Cursed Tribe. Daedric armor requires a bit more time to obtain, but still can be done quite early if you power level smithing and raid Gloombound and Redbelly Mine. Be sure to grind a bit extra to obtain the 2 sets of armor, as you will want to kit out Borgak in armor matching yours. We found the end result both terrifying and intimidating. When the Daedric Warchief and his band charge into battle, they just look like a deadly group of Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, ready to brutally wipe out a fortress before their enemies know what hit them. The Daedric Warchief wields a Daedric Greatsword and Daedric Bow, both of which can be crafted using ebony ingots, leather strips, and Daedra hearts. Craft an extra bow along with a Daedric sword for Borgak. Since your conjured Dremora Lords are restricted to their 2-handed weapons, the range support from both you and Borgak help in combat tremendously. While all this Daedric crafting requires a ton of Daedra hearts, don't worry about running out. The Dremora outside the Shrine of Mehrunes Dagon respawn after 10 in-game days and can be farmed for their hearts if you ever need extra for arrows. For your first set, there is a single Daedra heart sitting on Kodlak Whitemane's desk, which is easy to snag. You also have the opportunity to loot dead Dremora during the quest The Black Star. Moving on to the Daedric Warchief's spells and shouts. For spells, he primarily uses Conjure Dremora Lord, Heal Other, and Close Wounds. He has a simple but effective playstyle, so there aren't a lot of other spells he needs to add. As we mentioned before, Borgak will also carry the Sanguine Rose, which she will cast to conjure an additional Dremora Lord, bringing up the grand total of your party members to 5. For shouts, he will use Elemental Fury, Battle Fury, Dragon Aspect, and Slow Time. For his stats, we recommend leveling the Daedric Warchief with a ratio of 2 Magicka, 2 Health, and 1 Stamina. Once you can comfortably summon both of your Dremora Lords, you can shift to an even split between Health and Stamina. You will initially want to alternate between the Mage and Warrior stones depending on what you are leveling. Once the build is put together, switch to the Lord Stone for increased tankiness. By the time you reach level 40, you will want the following perks. In Archery, you will perk the entire tree with the exception of Bullseye and a second perk in Steady Hand. Your ranged support will be immensely helpful to your Dremora Lord warriors and play an integral role in taking down dragons. In Two-Handed, you will take all 5 in Barbarian, Champion Stance, Devastating Blow, and Great Critical Charge. In Smithing, head up the right side of the tree until you reach Daedric Smithing. The third perk up is Orcish Smithing, which will allow you to upgrade your Orcish gear until you finally hit Smithing level 90. There are many guides on the internet that teach you how to power level smithing, but we recommend watching the YouTuber Fevi, as his build crafting guides are both informative and entertaining. In Restoration, you will take the Novice through Adept perks along with Regeneration, Respite, and Restoration dual casting. Respite is extremely useful for the Daedric Warchief as it allows fast stamina regeneration for more deadly blows from his sword. Finally, in Conjuration, you will take the Novice through Expert perks along with 1 perk in Summoner, Atromancy, Elemental Potency, and Twin Souls. As always, we share our level 40 perk spread as a checkpoint, not an exhaustive list of perks for the character. If you plan to play past level 40, we recommend adding perks to Heavy Armor for extra tankiness and weightless armor. You can also add more perks to Restoration for added healing and magicka buffs. Alright, it's time to share our favorite part of every build, the special moves. These moves, we feel, are what can turn a good character into a great one. The Daedric Warchief's first move is War Form. This is done by first using Dragon Aspect, followed by the Orc racial ability Berserker Rage, and the Elemental Fury Shout. The increased attack power added from Dragon Aspect and Berserker Rage, combined with the increased attack speed of Elemental Fury, make for an absolutely insane amount of DPS. This exponentially multiplies your damage and represents the Daedric Warchief Dragonborn in his full power. Next is Volley, which is a strategic move used when you need to support your Dremora warriors from a distance. First, summon your Dremora Lords, then make sure you and Borgok have your bows equipped, then use the shout Slow Time. With this move, you can position the perfect shots to keep your Dremora Lords protected while on a difficult battleground. His final move is called Rhythm of War, and is performed by using Bardic Focus, Battle Fury, and Heal Other. This support-focused move will allow you to buff your allies' stamina regen and attack speed while you keep them alive with your healing spells. The beating drums of war ring in their ears and inspire them to fight with renewed energy and power. Note that Battle Fury has an incredibly small radius, and you need to be standing right next to your companions for it to have an effect. And with those special moves completed, we are ready to wrap up the Daedric Warchief. Most of our builds are balanced for Adept and Expert difficulties, but this guy is a candidate for Master and Legendary. In terms of raw power and damage, it's our most effective build to date. Note that if you play on Legendary, you'll need to take different steps of preparation. Again, we recommend watching some Fevi videos to get the hang of it. We hope you've enjoyed the journey this season. We'll be taking a few weeks off, but we'll be back soon with a new season of builds to share. Thank you for supporting us by watching our videos. We'll see you next time, right here on Skypothesis.